Okay, so hello and welcome. So hopefully you guys have seen the origins and races of how to make a character in Baldur's Gate 3. This is the proficiencies and backgrounds. So if you haven't seen that video, put a link or a little card up there you can go click, and please go watch that video first, and then come back here, okay? Otherwise, let's get to it. We're going to go over proficiencies first, and then backgrounds, because it will make a lot more sense to do it this way, trust me, because your backgrounds basically give you your proficiencies, okay? So, which skills are good in Baldur's Gate 3? Be playing through this game, okay? I'll just tell you each one and we'll go through the list, okay? And you can determine if you want to take them or not. Athletics. Stay fit, perform physical stunts, blah, blah, blah. It helps you shove and resist being shoved, okay? In this game, shoving is a bonus action. And there's a lot of places that you can shove creatures off of the map and instantly kill them, okay? So, when that happens, they're dead. Okay? This also prevents you from being shoved. A lot of enemy creatures, especially on Tactician mode, the hardest difficulty, will shove you and attempt to throw you off the edge and kill you. That can happen, okay? This also prevents grappling. I don't think I've ever been actually grappled. That's a sad thing. I don't even think it's possible to grapple someone in this game, now that I think about it. I don't think it's possible, but anyway, you can shove people. So that's what athletics is used for. It can also be used for checks in situations. The last time I think I remember doing it was in Act 1, and I had to break through a door where I use athletics. So take that as you will, okay? It's a pretty useful skill, I'm not going to lie, especially on anybody that plans on being a paladin, a fighter, a barbarian, any frontline character, okay? Next, athletics. It helps you resist being shoved. Since you can't grapple in this game, because I don't think that was a thing, it doesn't help you there, but helps you being shoved. I have literally never seen an option for this to come up. All the way through Act 2 that I've done through far, and almost Act 3. Literally never. That's more than 2/3 of the game. Have never had to roll an acrobatics check in any part of anything, okay? For any check whatsoever I've ever had to do. Which for any dialogue options, which is kind of sad, but there it is. However, it does help you resist being shoved. So you can. It's not a very good skill. If I was gonna rank it, I'd probably rank it like a 4, and rank athletics like a 2 or a 1. Okay. Now, on the other hand, sleight of hands helps you pick locks and pockets and disarm traps. Okay. So here's the thing with this. This is the S++ tier in the game. You 100% need somebody that at least has this skill, and then you can get Gloves of Thievery, and then you can also get a ring that increases this more. If you want to not lose money in this game and pickpocket people for basically your money back, which is what I do, because I don't want to run around and having to sell hundreds and thousands of items. If you do so, you need somebody's expertise in this. Flat out. If you're adventuring through the game, you need somebody that's basically expertise in this, and then give them advantage with the Gloves of Thievery and the +2 item, and then you'll have it, okay? Either a bard or a rogue can do this. A bard is better in my opinion, but we're not talking about classes here yet. So that's what Sleight of Hand is useful for. Basically, everywhere you explore, you'll be running into chests or locks or something of another description that you will need to open, and you're gonna need sleight of hands, and you're gonna need pretty high sleight of hands, okay? So that's a tier 1 skill, or plus S tier, okay? Next is stealth. Stay out of sight lines, melt in the shadows. Helps you with hiding. Here's the problem with hiding. It's all based on line of sight. That means if you're walking and you crouch in front of somebody, it depends on their line of sight. If they can't see you, they can't see you. If you walk in front of their line of sight, you roll a stealth check, theoretically speaking. But it's consistent. It's like stealth check, stealth check, stealth check, stealth check, and then you will fail. That's just how it works. It can be a little more useful in turn-based mode, but I'll just be honest with you guys, in D&D 5e is very good. And this game is not very good. You can literally dump this on your rogue, as stupid as that sounds. You can dump this on your rogue and take another skill. As long as you have sleight of hands, okay, you will be fine. There's even one part of the game in Act 1 where everyone just has to hide to cross a bridge. You don't have to have good hiding skills, you just need to hide. If you don't hide, you will literally die. If you press the hide button, you just walk across the bridge. Stealth is really not that good in the game. I'll be very honest with you. Theoretically, if you're a rogue and then you're shooting people from so far away, but you already get seen when you reveal yourself when you take an attack, and then you hide again, blah, 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 blah. And the problem with this skill is that even if you hide, in combat, if you hide and you're not behind like total cover where they can't see you, they'll just see you and then your hide goes away. So you can hide and then unhide. And there was your bonus action if you're a rogue. So stealth is not very good in this game. It's like one of the worst things, probably. One of the worst things along with acrobatics, which is unfortunate, but there you go. Which means pass without trace is also crap in this game. But okay. Arcana. Recognize magic, interact with enchanted items. This is a pretty good skill, okay? It's either a 1 or 2 in my opinion. Probably a 2-ish skill. And again, I'll rank these based upon, this should be on the left side of your screen. I'll rank them theoretically with whatever. But it comes up significant amount of the time in conversations, and it can be rolled in the background, like in a background thing when somebody mentions in the conversation. So it can be a very useful skill. I would always recommend that you have somebody in your party that is an intelligence build of some description. They can even have a tiara on their head that gives their intelligence plus 17, or up to 17, and that's good enough. As long as they have some skill proficiencies in the intelligence skills, it's good. History is the exact same thing. Remember the past of the world and its people, okay? Somebody in the party, as long as one of you is good at it and wants to do some conversations like this, it can be very useful. It's a pretty useful skill. Again, level 2. It helps you understand more of what's happening in Baldur's Gate 3, especially for a first-time person. It might be a skill worth picking up, okay? Investigation. Analyze clues and solve mysteries. Regular 5e, this is very good. Okay, regular 5e is very good to have like this, okay? In this game, it's still good. It's just not as good as you think it will be. There's a lot less things that you can actually investigate in this game. It does come up, and when it comes up, you do need this skill to pass these checks. But past that, it's not an amazing thing. So I either rank it like a 2 or a 3. Next is nature. Recognize plants and animals. Hug trees. It's a so-so skill, like a 3. It's just a 3. It is not absolutely terrible like acrobatics and stealth is in this game, but it's definitely a 3. It comes up sometimes, but not enough to really justify you putting your limited proficiencies in it. But again, if you're a Gith Yankee and you just get all the skills for free on intelligence, you just do that. Religion. Recognize deities, understand holy rites. This does come up, actually, quite a lot, surprisingly enough. A lot more with character-focused stuff, more or less. It can come up in regular conversations, especially if you're talking about Saloon, or Shar, or Mistra, and all that stuff. That's your religion checks, okay? Which can come up. But they're not, like, the most used skill possible. So, again, that's like a 2 or a 3 there. Animal handling. Influence animals, pet all of the dogs, which means pet all of the scratches, which is very good. Okay? Unfortunately, in this game, it's not amazing. Okay? However, there are animals that you can interact with. Example, a blue jay, or eagles, or whatever. This skill was useful in Act 1 and Act 2 and 3, not really so. I distinctly remember running into an owlbear and having to roll an animal handling check to pass. That is about the only time I can physically remember me having to use this skill, which is sad. I think you can use this skill in other animal conversations, but I'm having a real hard time recalling points at which I used this skill instead of like persuasion or performance or something else. So I ranked that like a 3, but again, leave in the comments if there are certain points that this is really useful. I remember the owlbear thing. Again, there's an owlbear cub later that you can theoretically get, and animal handling there would help you. Scratch would help you. It's more useful. Let me paraphrase this. It is a more useful skill if you can't actually speak to the damn animal, which, as I've already gone over, in the previous video, Speak with Animals is a really good spell because you get to interact with all of the animals. Straight all of the animals, okay? You can actually talk to them. So that's why Persuasion would be very good. I have a personal bias here, okay? Because I'm playing Oath of the Ancients and I just get this spell for free every single day so I can talk to them. You can get a potion that you can drink and make relatively early-ish on in the game. Or somebody plays a druid or whatever, and they can cast Speak with Animals, and then they can talk with them. Animal handling is useful if you literally don't want to talk to the animals, but you want to, like, handle them-ish. Animal handling is useful if you actually don't want to talk to Scratch, and you want to interact with him, like pet him or throw a ball or see what he's doing with his mouth open when he has a ball thing. So instead, you have to play tug of war with him or other animals to interpret what they're actually saying to you. Whereas if you have animal handling or Speak with Animals, you just know it. And I will just tell you right now, if you have Speak with Animals, don't take this skill. It's really not needed if you just have Speak with Animals, okay? That's just how the game goes, okay? So if you have Speak with Animals, this is like a 3 or 4. More-ish 3. If you don't have Speak with Animals, this is like a 2. Okay? Next is Insight. Read people and situations and detect lies. This is a background roll, so when you're talking in conversations, if another character like lies to you, this isn't like an auto roll, and then it will tell you, hey, they're not actually being truthful if you succeed it. If you don't succeed the insight check, you don't know that. I mean, you as a person, if you fail a roll, in the background, it'll literally tell you, insight check failed, and then you'll know they're lying to you because that check rolled, but your character won't. If you roll and succeed in the game, your character will know that they're being lied to. So it can be a useful skill. Like, I would put it at like a 2 or a 1, depending on how much you actually want to insight people. Medicine, recognize symptoms and diagnose disease. An owlbear, 1 petrified person, and then I think an ogre is the times I have used medicine. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is, okay? It's a relatively decent skill. I would put it either at 2 or a 3. It's not trash. It just doesn't come up that often. But when it does come up, you can actually get some pretty useful insight on what is actually happening if you have a good medicine skill, okay? Now, perception. Perception is a 1, just flat out 1. You will need this for pretty much everything you do. When you are walking around, you need somebody that has a good perception skill. Why? Because you uncover these treasures that are under the ground and you use a shovel to dig out. If you all fail your perception check, mark it on the map, come back after like a short rest or a long rest, or after you've traveled somewhere, come back, roll the thing again, get the treasure. But you need to see it. To see it, you need perception. There are also a lot of locks in the game, or buttons that are in the game, that you need perception to see as a character. You can see them as a person. You could be like, there is a button right there. Can you not see it? Your character says, no, I can't see it. So, somebody in your party really needs to have a good perception skill when you're just walking around, so that you can see buttons, so that you can open doors, so that your character can actually get out of a room. Yes, there are rooms that if you jump into and you don't have a quick save, and your character or somehow everyone fails a perception check to see a button, you will be permanently stuck in that room. Unless you have like the fly spell and you can actually get out of it, theoretically speaking. Past that, you can't get out of that room. So again, perception checks are very useful for finding buttons and the treasures, which happen a lot in this game, which is why I rank it a 1 for this game specifically. In D&D 5e, it's also a very good skill. Survival. Stay alive in the woods, track prey. This can be useful. I've seen it come up a few times, but not like a significant amount of times. I'm trying to think real hard when the last time I even rolled one of these was. It was quite a while, and it was probably in Act 1. To track things. It can be useful. It's not a terrible skill. I'd probably just rank it a 3, just because I can't remember the last time I've even tried to use it. Now, deception, intimidation, performance, and persuasion. We're just going to rank all of these. They're all 1s. It's very simple. If I had to rank them like against themselves, I would say that performance is probably your worst one. So if you wanted to not have a skill, it'd probably be in performance. In persuasion is S plus tier. You need this all the time for literally all the roles. Intimidation comes up, like I would say, intimidation comes up second most to persuasion. Deception third most. Performance fourth most. Okay, if you want to rank it like that. But each one of these skills you can use all the time. If you only have to pick one of these skills, pick persuasion. Okay, if you're the main character in your game and you've only this is your first playthrough, you're gonna want persuasion. If you are fine with and this is your second playthrough and you're fine with other characters like the warlock or the sorcerer actually doing the dialogue and your character kind of just sits in the background, that can be an option too. Okay, if you wanted to take other skills that would be more useful on a character for your second playthrough and you don't actually want to talk to people, but people want to talk to people in this game because it's kind of a role-playing game. So these 4 skills are very useful, which is why I would recommend for your first playthrough that you would play a class that would be useful to talking to people on your first playthrough. Okay, but again, if I had to rank them, it'd be persuasion as number 1, intimidation number 2, persuasion at number 3, and deception at number 4. You could really inverse the performance in intimidation, but I like the intimidation. It comes up a little bit more than performance and deception and intimidation. They come up ish equally. It just depends which character you're playing. Most characters in their first playthrough want to be good people. So there you go. Your second playthrough, all bets are off. All right. So those are the skills ranked. Again, I'll just flash all the numbers there once again so that you can see on your screen. It might be a little tiny numbers, but I'll put numbers there where I think every skill at least ranks, in my scale. Okay. So with that done, let's talk about your backgrounds. So these are relatively important. Why? Because they basically are how you gain your inspiration dice, which means that if you're an acolyte and you're working with, you're doing a godly thing, or you're in a temple or sacrificing or whatever, to gain inspiration you have to do those things in the game. Okay, to gain inspiration, and they also get you the skills, insight, and religion. Okay? Each one of these backgrounds gives you 2 skills. Okay? And whatever background you choose is actually how you get inspiration dice, and you can only have 4 of them in the game, and some of them are easier to get than others. Okay? But we will go through them generally on where I would rank them. Okay? I will put up on your screen because I've already, when I'm editing this, I'll put up on the screen where I think each one is ranked from like 1 through 4 or whatever. Where I think each one is ranked and what I would choose. Again, please pick any background that you like, okay? But starting off, acolyte. You've spent your life in the service of a temple, learning sacred rites and performing sacrifices to gods or gods you worship, serving the gods and discovering their sacred works will guide you to greatness. You get insight and religion. Again, pretty decent spells, pretty decent skills, I would say. And the actual acolyte thing comes up a little bit, especially more in Act 2. Again, it depends entirely upon your roles, let's put it that way. Charlatan. You're an expert in manipulation and are prone to exaggeration and are more happy to profit from it. Bending the truth and turning allies against each other will lead to greater success down the road. You get deception and sleight of hands. Alright, first of all, those are both S tier skills, okay? So I'm pretty sure I'm going to rank this as a 1. 2, if you lie to people, you basically get an inspiration dice. So, it's really good background if you wanted to, just continuously earn inspirations all the time. Charlatans are your way to go. Criminal. You have a history of breaking laws and surviving by leveraging less than legal connections. Profiting from criminal enterprises will lead to greater opportunity in the future. You basically work for the Zentarum. That's the thing. You have a skills with deception and stealth. Stealth is really bad. Deception is deception is pretty useful, like a tier 1 skill. The actual criminal thing, fun fact, you can actually work for the Zentarum there. And I believe just by breaking laws you can get inspiration, so it's pretty useful. Next is the entertainer. You sway and observe your audience, engaging in common crowds in high society, preserving arts, and bringing joy to the hapless and downtrodden heightens your charismatic aura. You gain the acrobatics and performance. Acrobatics is as we already discussed, is not that good. Performance is pretty good. Maybe one of the last things, like it's a 3, in my opinion, because again, it does come up, and it can come up more if you, use your character that way to perform. So entertainer can be pretty useful, especially if you're doing a lot of performance checks, which, fun fact, you might be doing a lot, okay? Folk hero, you're a champion of the common people, challenging tyrants and monsters to protect the hapless, saving innocents in imminent danger. Will make your legend grow. Again, you get animal handling, and then you get survival. Animal handling is good if you don't want to speak with animals, which is sad because you really should. And survival is, again, not that good. However, the folk hero, the common of the champion of like the small people, actually comes up a lot in Act 2, so you get a lot of inspirations if you pick this. Okay. Guild artisan, you are skilled in a particular craft, has earned you membership in mercantile guilds, offering privileges and protections while emerging in your art, repairing and discovering rare crafts will bring you new inspiration. I believe in Act 2 there's a Mason's Guild, which is a lot of the inspiration for this one. You can also earn it in a variety of ways. You get skills in insight and persuasion. Again, these are pretty good skills here, okay? So I would pick up those. Alright, next we are going to be doing the Noble. You're raising a family among the social elite, accustomed to power and privilege, accumulating renown and power and loyalty through your status. One thing I should probably mention, I probably should have mentioned, is that these noble backgrounds can come up in dialogue options sometimes. The last time I used a soldier background was in Act 1, so take it with a bit of salt there. But you get history and persuasion. S tier skills. History maybe not so much, again depending on your first or second playthrough. Persuasion, good, amazing, okay? And this probably can come up more often in actual dialogue choices where you can say I am a noble, because there's a whole plot line, without spoiling anything, there's a whole plot line revolving around nobles that goes pretty much throughout the entire game, in which you could theoretically use this background to get more dialogue options, okay? The next is the Outlander. You grew up in the wilds, learning to survive far from the comforts of civilization. Surviving unusual hazards of the wild will enhance your prowess and understanding. You get athletics and survival. Not very good. However, being outside and actually gaining your inspirations from that is pretty useful. Okay. Next thing is the Sage. You are curious, well-read, with an unyielding thirst for knowledge, learning about rare lore of the world, and will inspire you to put your knowledge to greater purpose. You get Arcana and History. Arcana S plus tier 1 skill, History a tier 2 to tier 3 skill, okay? And this actually might be pretty easy to use or get, let's put it that way, because there's a lot of books you can open, read, learn, use your knowledge from the background, can be useful. Soldier, you train in the battlefield tactics and combat. Having served in the militia, mercenary company, or officer corps, you show smart tactics, bravery on the battlefield to enhance your prowess. You get athletics and intimidation, two very good skills. I will tell you, the last time I even used this skill was when it was in Act 1 and when I was kicking down a door and I got advantage because I was a soldier. I think I might have used it also when I was in the Underdark one time. So that's the background. It really does not come up that often. I'll just be straight with you. It does not come up that often. However, the skills are very useful. And you can get intimidation by doing soldiery things, which means if you fight a lot of people, you get inspiration. Urchin, after surviving a poor and bleak childhood, you know how to make the most out of very little, using your street smarts to bolster your spirit of the journey ahead. You get sleight of hand and stealth. And then your inspiration is... This can actually come up a lot, especially in Act 1 when you meet basically tiefling children that are basically a whole bunch of thieves. Fun fact. You can continuously interact with them in every single act, and this can be very useful then with them, okay? And you get the tier 1 skill of sleight of hand, and then you also get stealth, which is, again, very good, okay? Besides that, I believe we will talk about this last few things here, is that if you play an origin character, you basically don't get to choose your background. Your backgrounds are chosen for you. The last one that can is actually the Dragonborn, which starts with the Haunted one, or sorry, the Dark Urge. That can be a Dragonborn, that you really should play Dragonborn if you wanted to do that, but Can be anyone. Otherwise, they get their special background, a wicked moment, a person, or a thing that cannot be slain by sword or spell, haunts your mind, flickers your peripheral vision, it carry it wherever your adventure takes you, or perhaps it cries to you. You get medicine, intimidation. Medicine, like a 3. Intimidation is like a 1. Okay, so that's your background for your origin as the Dark Urge. So that should cover all of the origins and the proficiencies for the entire game, and where I have ranked them. Okay, so again, I'll put up the last thing here for where I ranked all these backgrounds, in my personal opinion, based upon their skills, not necessarily based upon their dialogue. So I'll put that there. Okay. Other than that, we should be done here. We're almost on character creation videos, guys. I know, just so much to learn. Otherwise, past that, I will put up a video up there, and we will talk about what I would generally recommend as your first class for D&D. So that video shouldn't be theoretically long. Or your first class for Baldur's Gate 3, okay? So click that video up there if you like it, if you want to. Otherwise, I will see people next time. Have a good rest of your day.